Hello and welcome. You're watching Jab We Met. We're in Kolkata today at the headquarters of the 200-year-old RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. Mr. Goenka, welcome to Jab We Met.
Welcome.
We meet at a time when India Inc. is in the news in a manner that it rarely is. What you're doing and what you're not doing is being discussed all over, so we're very happy to be here.
It's great to be on the show.
And there's been so much talk over the last few months over the slowdown in the Indian economy, about why Indian investors are not believing in the India story as much. As a 200-year-old company and this hugely diversified group, how do you see the current slowdown in the economy? Why do you think the economy has been slowing down in the way that it is?
Quite honestly, I think what's happened is that a lot of India Inc. invested very hugely in big capacities 5-6 years ago. We are all waiting for those capacities to get fully utilized before we do the next round of investments. So it's not a slowdown from a sentiment perspective. It's actually just waiting for the mismatch between supply of capacity and demand picking up actually matching.
We heard Mr. Rahul Bajaj say very recently that there is a sense of fear that's crippling India Inc. As one of the leading faces of Indian industry, do you believe and do you agree that there is a palpable sense of fear that's impacting investment decisions?
No. I wouldn't like to comment on Mr. Bajaj's statement, but I don't subscribe to that theory that there is a fear or there is any kind of apprehension. I think the structural changes made by the Modi government have been tremendous, and it's going to take like another year or two before you see the entire effect of this structural change.
So there are two things at play, Mr. Goenka. One, of course, is why India Inc. isn't investing enough, which you say is because you've got underutilized capacity. The other is about why the economy is slowing down. In sector after sector, all the key high-frequency markers indicate for more than 6 quarters, this economy has been slowing down. Why do you think that's happening?
One is on the utilization of capacity coming up to speed. So that's one. And the second thing is the world is going through a slowdown. And India is no different.
But it's not. There are so many countries in the Asian region, Bangladesh, for example, Vietnam, Indonesia, which are growing faster than India is. So this whole idea that the world is going through a slowdown, which even the government puts out, isn't necessarily factually correct.
But Bangladesh can hardly be a base. I mean, it's like saying Andhra Pradesh is growing, or Telangana is growing, or Karnataka is growing or not growing. So I'm not sure that is a representative base.
So the government has introduced a slew of measures after the budget in a hope to revive the economy. Most importantly, they've reduced corporate taxes, which was supposed to spur investment demand. But we saw, for example, in the recent Credit Suisse report that 90% of the companies were sitting on their extra earnings. What do you believe the government needs to do more to ensure that the economy bounces back?
The reduction of the corporate taxes it's a very positive step. It actually helps corporates to retain earnings, which is a huge big thing.
Why? The whole idea is to ensure that investment kicks up, not for corporates to earn more money.
No, so when you have more retained cash, you actually plow that cash
But
back.
if you do, the problem is most companies are just retaining the extra cash in their balance sheets and even admitting so, saying that the atmosphere is not conducive to new investment.
Well,
so then that doesn't help the Indian economy. That helps all of you, of course, but doesn't really help the Indian economy,
But
sir.
frankly, as far as I'm concerned, and I know most of my companies, in fact all my companies, we are investing all that money back into capital expenditure. So we are definitely actually investing and growing.
What more would you like to see the government do to ensure that the promise which was made of double-digit growth, we are exactly at less than half of the promise, to ensure that we get back to the double-digit growth, what would you like to see the government do, Mr. Goenka?
Frankly, to my mind, this whole thing of ask, ask, ask from the government somewhere has to end.
Okay.
We have to now say that, okay, if there is, the demand pickup has not been as vigorous as anticipated or as planned, and if it takes 2 quarters or 3 quarters for this to sort of catch up, then so be it.
No, but what makes you hopeful that demand will pick up in 2 or 3 quarters? Because many people like Ratin Roy have written to say that we are virtually in the throes of a recession. If you see manufacturing, for example, almost close to being negative for more than 2 quarters, 1 more quarter of negative growth, and then we're in the middle of a recession.
You know, frankly, economists have a way of defining and using words and adjectives to define situations. I think, yes, you are seeing a slowdown of demand in automobiles and cement, but overall, if you really see, it's a cycle. You've had 5-6 years of constant growth, and any economy will not see 10 years of consistent growth quarter after quarter.
But the expectation was that in a country like India, 5% is virtually the base rate of growth. Even if we didn't do very much, the traditional understanding has been that 5% to aayega hi aayega, uske upar kitna ja sakte. Now we are less than 5% already. You know, whereas China slowed down to 6% after 4 decades of very strong growth.
These are statistics which are reeled off by economists. And frankly, what is the basis of saying this 5% is the base growth rate? China is a different situation, India is a different situation. And let's not forget, when you make structural changes, you're going to have some pain. And this government is actually making changes at the root. So corporate taxes is one element of actually trying to give an impetus in terms of digital economy, in terms of a Swachh Bharat, in terms of Har Ghar Jal. There are so many initiatives they're taking. So eventually when the money goes to the Aam Aadmi, that is when consumption will actually go up. And with all these measures, it's a matter of time that the money will actually go to the Aam Aadmi.